Nobody in the history of professional wrestling has ever accused Paul Heyman of being stupid. Reckless, occasionally. Disloyal, depending on which client you ask. Ruthlessly calculating, absolutely. But stupid, never. So here is the question that should be keeping the Wiseman awake at 3 in the morning right now. If Paul Heyman is genuinely the most strategically gifted mind in WWE history, why has he spent the last several weeks operating on the same brand as Haku Fifita's sons without picking up the phone and making one single courtesy call? Because from where the rest of the wrestling world is sitting, that oversight looks less like an accident and more like the beginning of the most consequential miscalculation of his entire career. Stay locked in, because the collision building between Paul Heyman's political machinery and Haku's immovable family authority is not a side story, it is not background noise, and it is not going to resolve itself quietly on a random SmackDown without consequences that ripple across the entire bloodline landscape for months. Tidal wave in the building, and if you have been following our Haku breakdowns from the beginning, you already know this channel called the Sons of Haku story before anyone else gave it the analysis it deserved. If this is your first time here, you just found the most thorough wrestling breakdown community on this entire platform, and you need to subscribe before this video ends. Now let us establish exactly why this particular angle carries a different kind of weight. Paul Heyman has been the most important non-wrestler in professional wrestling for the better part of 3 decades. ECW, WCW, Brock Lesnar, CM Punk, Roman Reigns, the man has attached himself to generational talent with the precision of a heat-seeking missile and elevated every single one of them. He is genuinely brilliant. But here is what the smart mark community perpetually underestimates about Paul Heyman. His brilliance has always operated within systems he could navigate verbally. Negotiation tables, boardrooms, television segments, microphone in hand. And Haku Fifita has never once operated inside any of those systems. Let us lay the confirmed foundation before we go deeper. Roman Reigns rebuilt the bloodline following WrestleMania 42. World Heavyweight Championship around his waist. Jacob Fatu acknowledged, Jimmy and Jey Uso restored, and Paul Heyman reinstalled as special counsel whispering strategy directly into the tribal chief's ear on a weekly basis. On the other side of the SmackDown roster, Tama and Tonga publicly broke from Solo Sikoa's crumbling MFT faction on June 26, walked out mid-show, cited the elders, and declared themselves completely finished with a war that had produced nothing but losses and damaged credibility. Then July 31st happened. Haku walked out carrying a war club with no announcement, no build-up, and no request for permission from anybody. He rebuilt his family's identity in one single segment, told his sons to make the world fear their name again, and left the building without acknowledging a single person connected to any existing power structure on SmackDown. And here is the specific detail that matters most: Paul Heyman was in that building. His influence was in every hallway of that arena. And not one word passed between the Wiseman and the most dangerous man on the roster. Right here, if this is doing exactly what a great breakdown should do, smash that like button and subscribe to Tidal Wave right now, because when Haku and Paul Heyman finally share a frame on WWE television, the fallout is going to be immediate and this community needs to be locked in ahead of it. Hit that notification bell. This story is moving faster than the weekly news cycle is tracking, and missing one episode of SmackDown right now is genuinely dangerous for staying ahead of it. Now, back to the Wiseman's mounting problem. Here is what changes the entire ceiling of this angle. Heyman's loyalty to Roman Reigns is already under a visible microscope after on-screen footage showed the Wiseman departing arenas alongside CM Punk, the current WWE champion whose unresolved history with Roman represents one of the most combustible unlit fuses on the entire roster. That pre-existing tension inside the bloodline means Heyman is currently performing a daily political balancing act just to maintain Roman's trust before the Tonga family dynamic has even been introduced into his calculations. Layer Haku's arrival on top of that existing fragility and the picture becomes genuinely alarming for anyone in Heyman's position. Think of it this way: Paul Heyman is currently operating like a chess grandmaster playing 3 boards simultaneously in a room where someone just walked in and flipped one of the tables over without checking if a game was in progress. The internet wrestling community has overwhelmingly read Haku's return as a closed-circuit tag division story. Tama and Tala win championships. Haku stands at ringside looking terrifying. The program runs its course and wraps up without ever intersecting the broader bloodline war. That reading is genuinely comfortable and completely incorrect. Here is the structural reality that invalidates it entirely. Paul Heyman's operational footprint on SmackDown in 2026 touches every significant power decision on the brand. There is no version of an independent Tonga faction growing in influence and credibility without eventually requiring Heyman to either incorporate it, neutralize it, or explain to Roman Reigns why he has allowed a rival power structure to develop unchecked on their territory. And the moment Heyman reaches for the Tonga family as a usable variable in Roman's ongoing calculations, the way the Wiseman inevitably reaches for every available asset, Haku's response will arrive without a production schedule, without a camera cue, and with absolutely zero concern for how it fits into anyone's quarterly creative roadmap. This is Haku's core psychology, and it is the dimension most analysts are not giving nearly enough weight. Paul Heyman operates through language, through framing, through narrative construction, through finding the precise arrangement of words that makes any situation feel manageable. Haku Fifita operates through something that predates language entirely. 67 years of being the human being that legitimate tough men quietly moved away from at catering. A reputation built not in television segments but in real rooms with real consequences. A family legacy that he did not inherit. He constructed it, maintained it, and has now returned to protect it. When Haku told his sons on July 31st to make the world fear them again, that was not a wrestling promo written in a production meeting. That was a father's command issued with the full weight of everything that name has meant in this industry for 4 decades. Paul Heyman has never once had to calculate around that kind of authority, because it has never been positioned this close to his operation before. Drop a comment right now, one word, diplomat or disaster. Does Heyman find a way to navigate this the way he navigates everything? Or does he walk into the one conversation in his career that no amount of preparation actually covers? Subscribe to Tidal Wave right now if you are not already inside this community. Ring that notification bell, and share this breakdown immediately with whoever in your circle needs to understand what is quietly building on SmackDown before it becomes impossible to look away from. 2 facts and we are done. Paul Heyman has constructed an entire career on the ability to talk his way through any situation this business produces, but Haku Fifita represents the first situation where the business ends and something far more real begins. And Haku did not come back to SmackDown to be impressed by anyone's vocabulary. He came back because his family's name required his presence. Next video, we break down every possible outcome of Roman Reigns learning that his Wiseman and a Tongan war veteran are about to have a conversation that nobody on the roster is equipped to moderate. Tidal Wave.